remember square roots? And square roots are like, hey, I'm going to write this little squiggly thing, and the number underneath that squiggly thing means what times itself gives you that number. Well, cube roots are the same exact thing, but you ask yourself, what times itself times itself? In other words, what times what is going to be 1? Well, 1 times 1 is 1 times 1 is 1 again. So the cube root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 1 is 1. Now I have to ask myself, what times itself times itself times itself is negative 343? Well, here's a fun fact. You're not allowed to take the square root of a negative, but you are allowed to take the cube root of a negative, because if you're asking yourself what times what is a negative, well, negative times a negative, positive times a negative is a negative. So you get a negative if you take the cube root of a negative. And now what I have to do is ask myself, what times itself is 343, 7. It's one of those things where not everybody knows that, but you can look it up on the internet. Oh, look, cube root of a negative, which means I get a negative. The cube root of 27 is 3, and the cube root of 1,000 is 10. Remember, if you took the square root of a fraction, you're allowed to take the cube root of a fraction too. And all you have to do is just take the cube root of the top, the numerator, and then take the cube root of the bottom, the denominator. Hello, Mr. 4. Just hang out there for a second. I want to take the cube root of 8, which means what times itself is 8. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. That 4 that was just hanging out is being multiplied to the cube root of 8, which means that 4 that was hanging out is now being multiplied to 2. And 4 times 2 is 8. Is Z all by itself here? No. What's in the way? Cube. That's it. How do I undo a cube? Cube root. I can take the cube root of both sides. Let's do that now. Take the cube root of both sides. That kills off the cubes. Z is all by itself. The cube root of a negative is a negative. And as I might remember from the last slide, the cube root of 1,000 is 10. So my answer is negative 10. Because negative 10 times negative 10 is 100 times negative 10 is negative 1,000. Boom. Is W all by itself? No. What's in the way? Cube. What else? Negative 12. Which one should I get rid of first? How about negative 12? I'll do that by adding 12. W cubed equals negative 76 plus 12. Negative 76 plus 12 is negative 64. Is W all by itself? No. What's in the way? Cube. How do I undo a cube? Cube root. So we're going to cube root everything. That cancels out. The cube root of a negative is a negative, and the cube root of 64 is what times what is 64? 4. 4 times 4 is 16. And then 4 times 4 times 16 times 4 again is times 64, whatever. Is B all by itself? No. What's in the way? A 3 in front. Also a cube. Let's get rid of the 3 in front by dividing 3 from both sides. Cross U out. B cubed equals 343. I had to really think about that one. Wait a minute. The square root of 343 is 7. So if I were to get rid of that cube, I could cube root both sides, and B would equal what times what is 347? 7 times 7 times 7 is 347. Oh boy. Well, my box failed. But the answer is 7. Know this. Bro, this. Find the length of each side of the cube. There's really nowhere I can put my face to make things better. How about right in the middle? Look at that. Find the length of each side of the cube. So In a previous video, I gave you the area of a square and said, find the side lengths, and we square root it. Because you square root to go backwards for a square. What do you think you'd have to do to go backwards for a cube? I'll give you a hint. It rhymes with tube moot. Cube root, that's right. So what I have to do is I have to cube root 216. And the cube root of 216 is 6. Also, the cube root of inches cubed is inches, because the cube and the cube root cancel each other out. Similarly, over here, I'm given the volume. I'm being asked to work backwards to find the side. The way I work backwards is I take the cube root of 1 over 27. The cube root of 1 is 1. The cube root of 27 is 3. And the cube root of feet cubed is feet. So I have 1/3 feet. And over there I had 6 inches. So there's a video that I have that's exactly about square roots, and it's extremely similar to this video. And this video is about cubed roots. Cupid shuffle. All right. Bye.